Raw from 106.1 Kiss FM as I adjust my camera. I probably should have done that beforehand. It's still pretty bad. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Post to Post. What? I believe Jerry Valeri is broadcasting live from his mother's house. You have the hardest work schedule to keep in.
I know, it's crazy. Like, there are so many things that, like, I'm so many days that I'm off and I'm back.
That's
and
the
then
best.
I'm off.
That's the best shot we've ever had of you. Look at
more.
That's called Sailor Jer. Sailor Jerry.
Sailor Jerry.
Yeah, exactly.
Best drum you'll ever have.
Good morning, bud.
I'm good.
Look at that shot. Oh wow, that was lovely.
That was good. Get that in there. No, I'm good. It's a couple days off have been nice. I stayed up and watched Raw last night. I've been sleeping in till 7 in the morning, which is decadent.
I bet.
Amazing. What'd you think of Raw? Like, I don't know. This Superstar Shakedown did not go the way that I thought it would. Like, just the way they presented it.
Okay, a few things. First of all, that was my major gripe with the show. Now, I do want to say overall, Raw was a good episode, I thought.
Yes.
Didn't bore me. It didn't feel like the 3 hours. I didn't feel like I was falling asleep. Stuff seemed fresh. I was very happy with it. So, that being said, the presentation to the Superstar Shakeup was, in my opinion, I'll call it a mess, and I'll explain why. I thought that, so my first note that I have, and I have them on my phone today, so bear with me. I've had such a busy day, another remote show where I wasn't in the studio until just this moment. Didn't have time to transfer stuff over, but my thought was, so wait, if we see them, does that mean they've been traded? So the show starts with Miz, Maryse, Ambrose comes out and interrupts that, but I was so confused because no one made it clear, at least initially, that just because we see them means they've been traded.
So, no one made that clear. And it was like, if they're usually on SmackDown and then they show up last night on Raw, that means they're on Raw. But if they're always on Raw and they're on Raw, that means they could still be on SmackDown tonight. It was very confusing. And then all of a sudden they started like tweeting out people that were like, did you catch that? There were people that went from SmackDown to Raw that they didn't put on TV last night.
Okay, there were a few that they did in a quick montage, like Apollo Crews and Kalisto. Are those two of the ones you're talking about?
Yeah, and Heath Slater and Rhino.
Yeah, there was a few here. You know, why don't we start? I'll give the full list because I took a lot of notes. Here's the full list of everyone who comes from SmackDown to Raw, and I think someone might be at my door. Shoot, I hope I don't. Whatever. We should be good. Anyway, oh man, this drives me nuts. I'm trying my hardest. I've got 3 meetings today. I had a show at a McDonald's for 4 hours. I'm just trying to do this, man, before my next meeting.
I read that nationally, McDonald's sells 75 hamburgers a second.
A second, yeah, it's crazy, and I believe all of them sold here in Evansville.
Okay, great.
The Miz joins us from SmackDown onto Raw. Maryse, Dean Ambrose, Kurt Hawkins, Bray Wyatt, Apollo Crews, Kalisto, Heath Slater, Rhino, and Alexa Bliss. Oh, and I guess Mickie James.
And Mickie James.
Yeah, are the only ones that I took note of, but they didn't make it was not abundantly clear. And when you invite all of the superstars from SmackDown to Raw, you need to let us know that if you see them, they've been traded. Like, that was not clear at the beginning. What was that all about?
Yeah, it was a mess. And I kept waiting for AJ Styles at the end, but no AJ Styles.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for that also. But I keep hearing stuff about the club reuniting with AJ Styles.
Yeah, it seems to me like Gallows and Anderson are going over.
Yeah, that seems like one of the safer bets. And that does sound kind of exciting to me. Plus, while I prefer Raw and I love AJ Styles, I feared that would be a bad move because I don't know what I'd watch. Had they done the hard trade AJ for Roman, I don't know that I would have been watching SmackDown ever again.
If they did I said it to myself last night. I thought if they do AJ for Roman and SmackDown does not get Kevin Owens, I'm never watching SmackDown again. Like, yeah.
I would do it for the sake of this show, but if I were just a normal dude, I don't know that I would.
Right. SmackDown got hurt last night, and and a lot of the SmackDown people, I think, got hurt. There's like a glass ceiling, I think, on Raw. Like, The Miz is never going to win the World Championship against Brock Lesnar, but he had a chance, I thought, on SmackDown. He was the best thing going into WrestleMania for SmackDown.
Here, let's break down what you just said, though. First of all, maybe not from Brock Lesnar, but I think it's certainly reasonable that he could win another title.
I hope so, but it seems like Raw is so unattainable. Like, I'm afraid he's going to get buried on Raw, and him losing to Sami Zayn right away doesn't boost my confidence.
I have to be honest with you. I thought the trades were actually pretty good, well thought out, in that they weren't really like AJ would have been too big of a deal. You know, I feel like the guys that they traded, like Apollo Crews, like these are guys that were struggling to begin with. Miz was just got out of a hot program with nowhere to really go. Like, I thought they were actually pretty logical trades. I would call it good. Personally.
You like Bray Wyatt back on Raw?
Yeah, you know what? I do think there's a lot of potential here, especially when you initially put him with Finn Balor. What a great start to Bray's Raw career and to continue Finn's career.
Right.
You know, his return. I think
got to get him away from Randy Orton. Randy Orton is ice cold right now.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's particularly my favorite move, followed by Miz, in that these are not going to cripple SmackDown, and these are guys who could use some fresh blood.
And Ambrose, you know, if Roman Reigns stays, and I think that he will, after last night, and we'll talk about that in more depth, but after what happened with Braun Strowman, I don't think a crippled Roman Reigns is coming to SmackDown this evening. So bringing Ambrose over, maybe they think that putting the Shield back together will get Roman the face heat that they want him to have so desperately.
You know, I'm kind of putting a Shield reunion up in that, you know, NXT call-ups, you know, just kind of things that are just wishful thinking.
But when they're all on the same show, the potential is greater than when they aren't.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true. But don't you think, given what they have right now, it'd be doing all three of them a big disservice to
it'd be doing two of three of them a disservice.
Okay, fair. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. So I don't think that's going to happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not a dumb thought, but it's something that, like, it's one of those things that comes up every pay-per-view and like every WrestleMania. And it's like, it's one of those things that I hate to use the term because it sounds so pretentious, but the marks talk about, you know, the Shield getting back together every single time. And, you know, it just doesn't happen, you know, and I don't see it happening personally. So there's that. You want to move on to the next segment?
Yeah.
Because after that, there was the tag team segment with the New Day. I don't know what it is, but I was hoping that, you know, it's funny because the verbiage I actually used in my notebook was, I was hoping that the ice cream cart would RIP, would rest in peace. And then it was so funny because I swear this didn't happen. Right after I write that, the Revival comes out and one of them is wearing a picture of an ice cream cart and the words RIP.
Loved it. I love that. And we broke Kofi's ankle, and I really like this team. And I like they're in a program with New Day. They're making the New Day look a little vulnerable off the bat. I think it's good. I think it'll be good for everybody.
They're off to the right start, and I'll explain why. The right start means they're not like being booked in any sort of over-the-top way. They're just coming out and doing what they do normally and getting over huge. You know, like Enzo and Cass, when they came out a year ago, it was like they weren't doing anything they weren't hot-shotting them, so to speak, or like as a showbiz term. They were just doing what they were doing week in, week out, and getting over. And that's why I like this. You know, it was like you can hot shot guys when they come out and you know, make them seem come off bigger than they are, but the Revival's just doing what they do. They're just being a badass tag team that's kind of reminiscent of an 80s tag team. And that's not an insult, that's a praise.
It's praise.
Yeah, you know, it reminds you of like a Brainbusters or a Heart Foundation or a Killer Bees or, you know, like whatever, whoever.
And I think in this day and age, it's, you know, it's smart for them to market themselves as such. No flips, just fists. It's a unique way to go about it, and it's old school, and I think people really gravitate towards it.
Thought it was kind of ballsy having Xavier in front of a live crowd with a blow-up doll. Something you're essentially supposed to make love to. I keep feeling like, and again, it's another week in a row where maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but I keep feeling like they're winking and nodding to that tape.
They might be, but I'm not picking up on that, but they're playing it so well. And I think that in this case, not online. Online, everybody's a troll, but live crowd-wise, New Day's bulletproof. This proves it. You know, if anybody was going to get chanted or if that happened to anybody else, they were going to get mauled, especially by like last week's crowd. And they didn't. And they didn't, and they won't. And I think that Xavier gets a pass on this.
Yeah, he's already cleared the hurdle. You know, like the hurdle was week 1, right into WrestleMania, right into Raw after WrestleMania. If you
They were smart. They didn't put him on TV that week. Well, they did, but they didn't put him in front of the crowd.
Looks like he's bullet. I mean, I'm not sure how much, but you also got to remember, I wonder how many people honestly even know about it. You know, when you poll, if you polled that entire building, it's probably, I'd say about half. You know, most people aren't reading the news sites like I am, or, you know, on podcasts like, you know, like we are. Like this is, right. We watch it a different way. The people who watch this podcast watch wrestling a different way than the casual fan does.
But the people that watch podcasts like this and do news, they were all there last week. So if they didn't get hit last week, they're not going to get hit.
Correct.
You're right. You're right. It's usually just a dad with his kids that, you know, is afraid to look at porn.
So you had week 1, you had WrestleMania, and you had the Monday after, and that now you're clear essentially.
He's safe.
Yeah. So congratulations to them for getting out pretty much unscathed. Made a note about Kurt Hawkins coming over. Who cares? Made another note about being confused about the way the draft works. We'll skip that. Oh, I wrote down, okay, well, we've got a big rematch on the pay-per-view. You got Austin Aries taking on Neville again.
Right.
It seems like that's the theme, is everything on the pre-show for WrestleMania you don't have to watch because you'll get it the next couple weeks.
You'll get it at some point. I'm just curious how they're going to do these pay-per-views, you know, because Bray Wyatt's still talking about his House of Horror match with Randy Orton, so he'll still be on a SmackDown pay-per-view, but he's a Raw guy now. Like, it's very...
Correct. It seems confusing, and not only that, I'm still confused that I'm certain Raw had the last show before WrestleMania. It should be SmackDown's.
And maybe it is. I have no idea.
Yeah, you know what?
All I know is you can guarantee Bray Wyatt doesn't beat Randy Orton, because then they'd have 2 champions on Raw, unless...
Yeah, we don't know. It's too soon to say that too. And I would not be shocked if Brock went over to SmackDown.
It would be cool. Wouldn't that be cool?
Well, and I figure by the same math, I figure Kevin Owens has got to go.
I'm betting on if we're talking that, and I would like to just get a couple. I know you don't love to talk hypotheticals and things like this, but I think Kevin Owens is going. I think Gallows and Anderson is going.
Well, these hypotheticals don't bother me because these are all possible. You know, like these all make sense to me. Yeah,
I think Sami Zayn could be going.
Certainly possible too. Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. Kevin Owens, I think, is probably the safest bet along with the club. Maybe Brock, but if Orton didn't come over, I don't think Brock is. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, who knows? And I'm also curious as to how often they're going to do these things, because these should maybe be like, what is semi-annual? Like 2 or 3 times a year?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I feel like I get really, you can tell from my rants about rematches, when stuff gets stale, I get really pissed.
Yeah.
And we could probably benefit from a couple of these every once in a while, or getting rid of the brand extension entirely.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Big Show go over, you know, something like that. But as far as big names, I don't know. I don't think Roman's going.
Let's transition into Roman, because first of all, that segment last night was remarkable, I thought.
I loved it once it got started. Like, I was getting ready to make a note before he got attacked. Like, how emotionless is he going to be in this interview with Michael Cole?
Oh my God, I know.
Like, he doesn't his face doesn't move. It's like paralyzed, like he'd been snake bitten.
Everyone defending him. Did you guys watch that segment last night? Like up until Braun Strowman made that save. How can you talk about Roman being championship material? I don't get it.
Yeah.
So there was that, but then when Strowman came, boy, that was a real highlight of the show.
I loved it. I love the creative camera work. I mean,
they did some great trickery. And like I think the trained eye could maybe pick up where some of those switches happened, but man, they did a great job. It came off really well.
I thought of you because for you and me, you know, like when AJ puts Shane McMahon's head through a window and there's a camera in the back seat, we call BS on that, and that makes us crazy.
As we should.
We just want a little bit of believability, and so you get that, and the camera starts to flicker a little bit, and you get a little flicker of camera, a little flicker of a camera, and then as they're about to cut to Roman, who's not on this gurney, it cuts for just a split second, long enough for them to go to the next camera, and then Braun Strowman throws what isn't Roman Reigns off the edge, and
right.
It's perfect, and you know what's happening, but it's good and it's well done, and it was fun to see. That was a fun segment, and I'm sure there was a tow truck on the other side of the ambulance. And who cares?
Exactly. That's exactly right. It came off so well, and it looked brutal. And even though, the trained eye could see the switches, it's like, man, it came off really well. Came off really, really well.
And they found a way to make Braun a monster again. Don't blow it this time. And
make Roman sympathetic. Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, boy, this attack came out of left field for such a coward little baby, running away from everybody.
Surprised he didn't just walk into the interview and then back away.
Would it be safe to say? Would it be safe? Right? Yeah, just walk away. There's somebody here. I better leave. Would it be safe to say that was the highlight of the show? I thought it was.
I thought it absolutely was. Some people will disagree and say like the shakeup itself was, and it's cool to see new people show up, and that's great. But for me, that was the best part of the show.
If you would have transcribed, if you would have written down, if I would have read what happened in that backstage brawl, I would have thought it would have come off really lame, but it was the camera work and the performance of those guys, especially Braun Strowman, that made that so well done. So kudos to those guys.
Kudos. I just have to say, shame. We know your name, Roman Reigns. The beginning of that segment, you were a mess.
That's true. Yeah. You got saved by Braun. Yeah. So, all right. A few more things. I wanted to know, can the cruiserweights stay on Raw, but the purple ropes go to SmackDown?
How about this purple ropes just go to 205 Live?
Right. Yeah. Oh man, I'm getting blown up here in the studio about. I don't know.
You got to wrap it up.
Let's keep going here for a few minutes.
I've got to go here in a couple minutes too. I mean, we're almost all through, and tomorrow or Thursday we can really focus and sink our teeth into what we missed on this show and SmackDown, because we'll have a bigger picture. It'll be a much clearer picture of what's going on after tonight.
That's true. Let's see. What else do I want to mention? There was the debut of the Drifter. Oh, did you notice? I liked there was a little humor.
Is that a debut? Does that count? He just walked on the stage.
No, I think he's gone from NXT, and I think he's part of Raw. I think I don't know what his contributions will be, but I bet you it will become clearer over the next few weeks.
Will somebody help me on the post show and let me know, for someone that doesn't really watch NXT, is the Drifter someone I should care about?
They'll say he is. They'll say that because he's from NXT, but they'll say that he is.
But I typically tend to believe when Michael and Tony and all those guys jump in, if they like a guy, they usually like him for a reason.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about that. I thought there was some great humor in the book that Dana Brooke was reading, a book called How to Be Your Own Protege.
Right.
That was funny there. And yeah, why don't we just, I apologize, but I'm obviously dealing with some stuff related to the station here today. So
you got to get out of the studio, and I'm gonna go in my mom's backyard and I'm gonna help her do stuff.
Yeah, say hello to your mom for me.
I will.
So, all right, I'll sign out and let's we'll reconvene Thursday. Is that you?
That's me.
Look at you. I can totally see it. All right, we'll reconvene tomorrow or Thursday and talk about the rest of the superstar shakeup. For myself, the Rob, who's getting kicked out of the studio for reasons I'm not sure of, as well as Jerry Valeri, who is about to work in his mom's backyard. Again, at a future date here on 106.1 Kiss FM. Thanks for tuning in.